Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 5 and 5, where we interview partners from all over the world about happiness at work. And today, I have the honors of having here Michael from the Czech Republic. Hello, Michael or Michal.
Hello.
So please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're placed.
So I'm Michal Srajer. I'm based in Czech Republic, where I was born, and I'm actually an IT guy, or that's what I studied, computer science, and that's why I started a IT company 12 years ago. But soon we realized in our company that it's not only about the software, but it's also about the people. So I named myself Chief Happiness Officer, inspired by Alex Kirill. And I started being Chief Happiness Officer 12 years ago, and I'm Chief Happiness Officer until today. In between, we've sold the company, or it was acquired. It was very democratically decided, and then I traveled around the world, and now I'm focusing only on happiness at work with Happiness at Work company here in Czech Republic.
Wow, that's wonderful. So, Michael, what makes you happy at your job?
In my job, there is many things as I'm trying to live what I'm trying to inspire people to. So, for example, I was thinking about it, and one of the things is definitely when there is a conference we are doing every year, and I'm on the stage with people there, and watching us and being there with us and feeling the atmosphere in the room, the shared feeling of people that it's actually possible, and we can do something about how the world of work feels, and then together we can do actually the change, that feeling of purpose. It's something that is there, and even though the big one is happening only once a year, it's like energy boost for another many months.
That's wonderful. And why you chose to be a chief happiness officer? Can you explain why do you believe it's important to invest in happiness at work? And even if you can say something about this era we are in, this world pandemic, why is it more important or less important now?
I will start more generally. So at the beginning it started as I was reading articles about motivation and about what makes people feel better at work, and it stopped making sense to not focus on that, because it seems like it makes all the sense. If people are happier, they are doing better jobs and they are feeling better themselves. And then of course there was some evolution, and my realization for maybe from maybe 2 years ago was that we actually spent a lot of time at work. It's like 80,000 hours per our lifetime, right? And so it's second most common thing we do in our lives, and still most of the people feel unhappy or are just daydreaming during the time at work. They are just waiting until there is finally evening, and until there is final vacation, and they are spending those 80,000 hours, which is a huge amount of time, by just waiting for the life to start. And it just stopped making sense to me that we are spending part or one third of our lives at work, so it doesn't make sense to not feel great there and be just waiting until we start feeling good after the job is finished. And today, of course, is the same story. Yes, we are, and it's even more difficult maybe. We are not meeting, and there is not traveling to work, and we are meeting only through screens. And often in many companies, the work came down to only work, not the relationships and not the people around. It's only the meeting for the calls, and then we are doing the email or something in on our computer, and we don't meet people. So it's even more important than ever, as you just said, to focus on those things, and remember that it's the work is not only about the results, but it's also about the relationships and people there and
Well,
connecting.
I couldn't agree more. So if I want to start implementing happiness at work in my business, what would you recommend me to start doing? What is the first step?
Uh, I think this is very difficult question because I think the first step will be very different in different companies. But from what I've seen actually in Czech Republic, in examples in the companies that we are inviting to our conference to inspire others, it usually starts on the top of the company, the real big change, and it usually is some transformation of the leader, of the founder, of the CEO of the company, who comes to realization then the company is much more than just business of for making money. It's also about all those other things, about bringing something purposeful to the world, and maybe helping people feel better. And then from the realization, the changes usually start with changing maybe company structure to being more flat, more distributed, to moving to move the focus or motivation down to people themselves. And usually the realization is that it's not so much about the thing we can buy or we can give our people. It's more about the time we spend together and about the emotions we share together, and about the shared purpose that we are going forward.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say, and I believe you share that, that more and more CEOs and top managements realize the impact of that.
That's true.
And if you can share with us, for that would be our final question, share a tip or a nice example of one of your clients, of a story you've heard about, a nice tip of a way of implementing happiness at work during this COVID pandemic.
So my favorite one is that we've actually been talking before we started recording, and that's walking meetings. It's a very small thing that you can start doing. And usually, walking meeting is about doing meeting not in the meeting room, but going outside to the fresh air and keep moving. It's best for meetings on one, and it actually gives you different perspectives and lets you go to the depth of the discussion. And luckily, it's possible also in the pandemic times. Although we can't meet, usually in most of the countries, hopefully we can still go outside to the forest, although we are alone in some cases. But that's what I just did before we started recording. I was on my running meeting. You can do it as walking meeting. But my friend was not there with me. He was walking somewhere else in other part of the Czech Republic. But we had our headphones, we had our phones in pockets, and we've been walking and discussing, and actually works very well. You are hearing the voice, and by walking through the talk, you are actually able to go to nice depth of the discussion, which makes the relationships, of course, deeper as well.
Right? And I like your feature, running meeting. That's a new one.
Yeah, that's
Any
upgrade.
any final notes you want to leave us with? Something that's it's important for you to say?
I would just say, just let's not remember about the relationships at work now in pandemic times. Let's focus on it and not forget that the work is not only about the results; it's also about the relationships, and we have to focus on it. Maybe even little bit more if we don't meet each other in the office over the coffee.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time. Hope to see you soon. Walk or run together soon. Take
Awesome.
care.
Thank you so much.